Yeah, you wouldn't want to be Corey Horsburgh this week. You'd be avoiding Ricky Stewart at all costs after what he said. I'm not sure Ricky says that if Corey's not leaving the club either, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a big no-no back then. That would have got you clocked. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been any questions asked if you'd have rubbed someone's head or you'd have jumped on top of them like they do nowadays. There'd have just been a straight all-in fight. It's as simple as that.
I miss them times.
Yeah, bring back the Biff if you like, with Reg Reagan down there, Matty Johns. So.
And now it's time for Rugby League.
Hello everyone and welcome back to NRL Insight UK, your weekly fix of rugby league from both sides of the world. With me, your host Dan Lee, and joining me once again, former Hull FC and Hull KR star, and now NRL Insight UK regular, Paul Cooke. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, good, Dan. How are you, mate? I've had a really good week. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm really good. How did you find the commentary this week? Enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a busy week for me this week. I did a game Thursday, Friday and Saturday in Super League. As well as trying to fit everything else in, try and catch all the highlights. So, yeah, busy week. Bit less busy this week, but we can't grumble.
No, we can't. Well, we've got another packed show for you all today. We'll be getting into the biggest talking points from the NRL, the Super League, going through all the results and breaking stories. But first of all, let's throw Cookie back into the hot seat and we'll get straight into Question Cookie. Question Cookie then. Before we get into the questions, as I say every week, please remember to like and subscribe. And if it's an interactive round, so if you want to drop your questions into the comment section for me to ask Paul, please do so, and the best ones will be chosen and we'll put them in. So let's get straight into question one. Paul then, which opponent did you genuinely hate when playing against them?
Anybody that was quick, Dan. That was really quick. Being 6'5" and not as agile as any other halfback on the edge. Jason Robinson was always an issue. I was glad when he went to Rugby Union. He was a player that you knew what he was going to do, but he was just powerless to stop it. If you remember seeing the try in the first grand final, what he scores against Leeds, where he just skips across and goes between, I think it's Fleary and Jamie Matthew for the Rhinos. That's typical Jason Robinson, and you know he's going to jump off both feet and step you one way or the other, and then you're just powerless to stop it. So he was always an issue. And anybody else that was quick, a fullback that was quick, Sam Tompkins was an issue.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal when he burst on the scene in, I think about 2008 or 9, something around there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ones that was quickest frightened me the most defensively. Fullbacks particularly, or wingers that scooted across the line. Centres was less of an issue because I left that to my centre, back rowers that hit good lines was an issue. Remember Simon Horton? Simon Horton was an issue at Wigan.
Yeah.
Lee Gilmore was very good at St Helens. So yeah, but Jason Robinson was probably the one that he was just powerless to stop what he was going to do.
A second part to that question then. Was there, because obviously you were one of the spine strike players, you, Richard Horne, Briscoe, whoever else played in them positions, was there anyone from any team that used to target you and try and get under your skin, like a certain person that stands out that was a nightmare?
No, not really. I was quite. I was able to distinguish from a line where you could throw a banter back or bite back with it, and be able to still concentrate on the game. I guess for halfbacks it's. They're built a little bit differently. They've got to stay a bit calmer, and I don't think anybody really got under my skin, if I'm honest. A couple of cheap shots here and there where you end up fighting in games. They had a couple of set twos a couple of times in a couple of games, but nothing major. So no. Jason Hooper was one that St Helens that
Yeah.
during the grand
Yeah.
final season. He
Yeah.
liked to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
No, but I think everybody did. And generally what goes on the field stays on it with me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't repeat what anybody said or I said to anybody else.
No.
So yeah, it's just. Yeah, I think I didn't ever feel like I was drifting away from what I had to do by speaking to people or them speaking to me.
Yeah.
And backing out, you never made contact with anybody either. There was none of that jumping around and and making contact with any of the opposition.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a big no-no back then. That would have got you clocked. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been any questions asked if you'd have rubbed someone's head or you'd have jumped on top of them like they do nowadays. There'd have just been a straight all-in fight. It's as simple as that.
I miss them times.
Yeah, bring back the Biff if you like, with Reg Reagan down there, Matty Johns. So, it's a very different game now. It is what it is.
It is.
I think we've seen this week with Big Red at Canberra that it's
we'll get into him.
You just can't do them things, and if you do, you're on the wrong side of Sticky Stewart.
You are. We'll move into the next one then. Which away ground had the most intimidating atmosphere when you were playing?
Salford was always tough. Salford was tough because before the game, the changing rooms were small and there was a sloping roof. Obviously, I used to stand at the tallest side, being 6'5". So. Yeah, there was a sloping roof there. That was always intimidating. The Willows, Castleford, on top of the old grounds.
Yeah.
But the best one was Headingley. I enjoyed playing at Headingley. We'd never won much there, but the South Stand and the way it was all around you, the cricket pitch next to it.
Yeah.
Well, I always enjoyed going to Headingley. The pitch was always wonderful as well. So
that team,
it was really good. The pitch. Yeah, it was really good. The pitch for
Leeds
Leeds to run riot on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. That team obviously. Was just a nightmare in how good it was in that the mid to late 2000s. Obviously, I think it was something like 4 or 5 grand finals against Saints. Unbelievable. Which is one rule you would remove from rugby league in today's game?
I don't like the rule where we. I don't like the 6 again rule inside the 20. Where teams have a scrum and then they'll hold down on play 1 or they're offside on play 1 and they give a penalty away and then the other team tap it and they'll hold down again on play 1 and they give a 6 again away. Yeah, I'd like to sin bin the team that the player that does it because ultimately it's just a way of bending the rules to a cheat. Where you're defending one more tackle by controlling the first ruck and getting your defence set. Yeah. So there's no material gain for the opposition for the attack when they get a 6 again inside the 20.
Well, we knew it was going to be manipulated because sticking with the same rule, we also see if the attacking team feels aggrieved and they've just lost the ball, they will do the best to hold the defence down so the referee has to stop the game and it'll be reviewed. And that's another loophole that they found in it. And that should be the same again, a sin bin offence because, although the official might have missed something, and it's a hard job officiating, as much as everyone jumps on the back, it's a hard job. And some things get missed. You shouldn't be able to find a loophole in that rule, hold them down, and.
Well, listen. But one thing I will say, Dan, as a coach of a team, if you get a rule that gets put in place, you try and find a way to bend it to suit yourselves.
I understand.
It's as simple as that.
But then it's down to the officials and the governing body, the RFL or the NRL, to officiate that and to stamp it out. But I agree with you on that one. Name the one NRL player you wish you had the chance to play alongside during your career. Can be past or present.
Oh, geez, that's a tough question. That's a really tough question. I would love Gordon Tallis to play inside me defensively and outside of me in attack. But to play, listen, I played against Andrew Johns, but to play alongside him must have been special. To watch him, he was a special player when he came over in 2005. So probably Andrew Johns. Yeah,
it had to be, done it. The immortal, the best, the GOAT. Yeah. To round it off, then, rate the following conversion kick takers in order.
Oh, jeez.
Lee Breers, Paul Deacon, Sean Long, Paul Cooke.
Paul Cooke 4. Paul Cooke 4.
Don't undersell yourself like that.
No, but Cooke 4. Breezy 3. Oh no, Long. You said Long, didn't you? Long 3. Because Long didn't kick when Lyon was over, did he? So Lyon was the main kicker. So Long 3.
You got Breers and Deacon remaining.
Yeah, Breers 2, Deacon. Deacon was dead eye. Deacon was really dead eye. He didn't miss too many Deeks. No. I was behind Bruffy's, but when Bruffy came in, I gave up the kicking with Danny Brough. If you watch the cup final, he kicks 3 off the sideline, and we win by a point and 1 from under the sticks. So, yeah, Bruffy took over from me. Lyon took over from Long. Breezy kicked for a long time at Warrington, and Deacon was the main kicker at Bradford for all of his career, I believe.
Yeah. So your final order: Paul Cooke 4, Sean Long 3.
Yeah.
Lee Breers 2, Paul Deacon 1.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been unfair to put Sir Kevin Sinfield in there because he was...
He'd pissed it.
Yeah, the best. So we'll leave that out. Well, that ends it for this week's Question Cookie. As I said earlier, please subscribe and also drop your comments in for any questions you want me to ask Paul next week. It's now time for the NRL news. NRL news then. Let's get straight into the biggest story this week, and Brian Toto joining the PNG Chiefs. We had a feeling it was going to happen. He's very good mates with Jerome Luai. I think he was either best man or he's very, very close anyway to him at his wedding. And there's just so many people off contract at the Penrith Panthers. Someone or a couple had to go. But another amazing signing for the PNG Chiefs, and they are going to be Premiership ready, as we mentioned a few weeks ago.
Yeah, huge story. I think the Penrith Panthers gave him permission to speak before November 1 anyway, gave him a week to discuss contract terms. They knew it was probably going to happen. Brian seems a really honest type of fella as well, where, he would have said, I'm thinking about leaving, I'm thinking about going. The likelihood is I'm going to leave. So I think they've got enough respect for each other at the Penrith Panthers and Brian Toto that the permission was given and the deal's been done. And again, it's the unfairness for the other teams, for me, the Perth Bears. And it's like I said, they're not recruiting. They're knocking back who they don't want, and they're recruiting who are being brought to them by many agents in the game. I think he's the 6th now, isn't he?
Yeah.
The 6th player. Connor Watson, AJ, Jerome Luai, Matty Lease,
Zach Lomax,
Manu, Zach Lomax.
Yeah.
So there's lots of them that are going to end up at the PNG Chiefs, and Willie Peters is going to have a job to pick a 17, I think.
Yeah, he is. The squad is unbelievable. They've also been linked with many other players, and your jaw drops. And obviously the question of Nathan Cleary's still not out yet. He's still not. Cameron Munster. It's just madness. I didn't think we'd ever see anything like this in our lifetime. But it was all signed off. It was all okayed by the leagues, by the governments. I was okay, like I said on a few podcasts ago. I'm okay with giving a team a leg up. I just think this is handing them a premiership. I think there's a difference. And I understand they need help. They're in a different country. They're going to be in an isolated area. But yeah, it's too late now. We go and we watch.
It's like everyone's now in uproar about all of this. But
and they already knew.
They must have had an inkling that this was going to be the case before signed off. So. It's going to be an interesting one because I thought they may be top 8 ready. And I think I put on Twitter yesterday, I think they're top 4 ready.
Top 4, yeah.
They're going to be top 4 ready.
Yeah, 100%. But we'll move on to the next story that's unfolded. And I only seen this morning, but we knew it was coming. Corey Horsburgh meets with Mal Meninga and Perth Bears. The deal's not been finalised yet, but I've got a feeling with the Paulo... Paulie deal has broken down with Parramatta Eels. So Corey Horsburgh is now going to be looked at as that alpha, possibly captain of Perth Bears. and he's going to be the alpha to charge forward with that pack. So I would imagine there's going to be a hefty salary on the table for Corey to go over there.
Yeah, there was talk of Brisbane Broncos, Dan, wasn't there? There was talk of Brisbane Broncos, but that seems to have fallen down with salary cap restrictions at the Broncos. So, Perth, it's amazing that you look at the difference between PNG and Perth and recruitment, that they're still looking for that alpha in the front row or the middle of the field. And they still haven't got that over the line, and Corey Horsburgh is now the one that they're looking to for next year. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is. I think he'll be an incredible signing for them. We know how good he is. We just also know he's got that short fuse that can cost you a game, as we're going to go into a bit later of what happened on the weekend. But yeah, we wait to see how that unfolds. But normally it's Michael Carianis, the journalist in Australia, that's broke the story, and he doesn't break stories unless there's something behind it. So I would imagine this is going to get done, and especially with Ricky Stewart's comments after the game on the weekend, there's no extension on the table for him, I would imagine, at the Raiders. Moving to the next story then, Penrith Panthers outside back Isaac Targo linked with a move to the St George Dragons. Another player, they're having a complete overhaul, St George Illawarra Dragons, and they are in desperate need of centres. That is the one position that they are short on, because at the moment the predicted lineup is showing Clint Gutherson as starting at centre next year. And as much as I love Clint, he's been amazing over his career. He's slowed right down, and I don't see him with enough pace to play in the centres. Defensively, he's quite good, but age isn't on his side anymore. So they are desperate for a centre, and this lad has been unbelievable. Before he got dropped out of the team by Ivan Cleary, he was playing some incredible rugby league. So I think if the Dragons can get hold of him, it'll be an incrable move for him. What's your views on this one?
He's on the peripheral, isn't he? At the Panthers right now, and with the way their outside backs are playing, it doesn't look like getting back in the team. And again, at a cost of the salary cap and at a cost of quality players, you can't keep everybody.
No.
Particularly if they're not playing in your top 30 or they're not playing in your top 17 every week. So, yeah, it's I think it's a good move from the Dragons. And as you say, it's a complete and utter overhaul there.
Yeah.
It'll be a really, really tough pre-season and an interesting pre-season for the Dragons, because they've got lots of gelling to do with different players in different positions.
Yeah, it is. But we wait and see how that one unfolds as well. But the Dragons recruitment, man, Daniel Anderson's gone in there and he's shown what he's about. And he was incredible over here. When I seen him at St Helens, you just know what he's all about. And yeah, he's on paper he's getting it right. But it's like you said last week, it's if they gel. But let's be honest, as a Dragon fan, you would rather have them in there trying to gel than not have anyone at all. So let's see how they go. Next piece of news, Lipoi Hopoi has agreed a 2-year deal with the Canberra Raiders from the Canterbury Bulldogs. He is a front rower. He is only 24 years of age. He's made 17 first grade appearances for Canterbury Bulldogs. But that just to me says, Corey Horsburgh is on the out, and we're going to invest in someone who's young and new. I think it's a good opportunity for him because there will be a space there, especially with Morgan Smithies going as well. So there's definitely going to be game time for him there. Have you ever seen him in action? I know he's only played 17 games. Have you ever seen Lipoi?
No, not particularly, but I know he's a big boy, and I know they've got big raps on him. So, the Raiders are an interesting one because they've gone from minor premiers last year to nowhere near the 8 and even close to the bottom. So, there's going to be a huge overhaul there, and Ricky Stewart's not messing around.
No.
A big opportunity for him to go in there and stamp his authority and become a regular at the Raiders and make a real difference. So I've not seen much of him, but I have seen a few highlights and the raps on him. So there's so many players over there that are not in top 17s of each team that are probably very much can be in the top 17 of another. So there's some swapping and changing with players. Some big players going out of clubs, as you've said, at the Raiders particularly, and some big opportunities for players going in.
That's why the big shift seems to be happening, doesn't it? Because it used to be Super League clubs would look at people coming towards the end of the career, or someone who's been done for betting, drugs, whatever they've been done for off the field. Now it seems to be anyone who's in that 24 to 30 spot of the squad, or Queensland Cup, New South Wales Cup, as we're going to touch on with Warrington Wolves. They've signed a couple recently. That's how it seems to be changing with the Super League. They seem to be absorbing or trying to, like we've seen it with Saluka Fafita at St Helens. If you're not getting in, and there's not looking like they're getting in, they're obviously the Super League clubs are moving quick to acquire them. But yeah, I think he'll have a good opportunity and a great coach at the Raiders anyway. Next piece of news: Loco Pacifici Tonga has extended with the Dragons. They've offered him a long-term deal. I don't think the details are out of it yet, but it's looking like 4 to 5 years. So they've highly rated him for a while, and his performances in the last 7 to 10 games since he's got back into the team under Coach Dean Young, he has been immense. And he's only young. He's in his early 20s. I think he's going to be a 200, 300 game NRL player. That's how highly I think, how highly I rate him. I think he's going to be incredible. What do you think on Pacifici Tonga? Like him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think he's a big player for the Dragons, and I think he will be. It's not only important who you recruit, but it is who you retain as well. Particularly at the age he's at, and what he's done, as you said, in the last 7 to 10 games. Huge result at the weekend for him. Looking forward to seeing how he develops. I guess when you give somebody such a long-term contract, you're always interested to see how it goes. We've not seen the ones from Jason Taumalolo, the 10-year contract before. No. And people thought that was a stupid idea, and he's still knocking around, and he's probably earned every penny of what he's earned over them 10 years. So it's interesting over the next 5 years how it develops, or however long the contract is, 4 or 5 years.
It does. Last piece of news of the NRL this week then. Another contract extension, Jackson Ford with the New Zealand Warriors, 2-year deal extension, imperative deal. He had to get it done for the New Zealand Warriors' sake. With them losing Mitch Barnett to the Brisbane Broncos, and Jackson Ford's performances this year, especially before Origin, he was in the running to get into the Origin team, or starting the Origin team. He's been immense, and I think it's a massive upgrade for him, and I think it's massively important for the Warriors to have got it over the line.
Yeah, again, retention. Once you're losing Mitch Barnett, once you know you're going to lose Mitch Barnett, you tend to what's within your organisation, and then you have a look if you've got somebody in there that you feel can step up, or a couple of players even, what you can upgrade. Or you go out and you have to buy big, you have to get a Fisher Harris or somebody that comes in like the year before. So huge piece of retention and upgrade from Andrew Webster. They've the sneaky feeling they could be in the grand final this year. A huge result last weekend against the Panthers. Big news coming out of the Warriors. They've got one hell of a team right now.
Yeah, they have. That wraps it up this week for the NRL news. We're going to get straight into the Indigenous round. It was this week. Some incredible kits that they all supported and wearing. We're going to get into the breakdown of round 23. NRL round 23 then, the Indigenous round. We'll get straight into the first game, which was Thursday's matchup. Gold Coast Titans 8, Cowboys 30. It was 18-4 at half-time, so the Titans were well in it. Jackson Purdue Simbin after 7 minutes in the second half, I thought was pivotal, because I thought the Titans had a couple of chances to get themselves back in it. Philip Sami got himself a double for the Titans, and as soon as Purdue returned from the Simbin, he scored a sensational 60-metre try from a Drinkwater pass for him through the middle. I thought it was incredible. And then the final one to see it off was Helam Luke, who I thought was outstanding. Another Scott Drinkwater try assist. Did you see much of this game on Thursday, Paul?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought I thought the Cowboys would get a result. I thought they're a team that can beat any other team on their day. I know that they had the shock result against the Roosters a couple of weeks ago after the Derby win the week before against the Broncos. But yeah, Drinkwater there, he's going to be a big miss for them in 2027.
Yeah, he is.
Off to the Dragons, obviously, but yeah, great result for Toddy Payton and their team. Keeps them in the hunt. So yeah, they're certainly a team that can beat any other team on the day.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, the win puts the Cowboys back into the top 8. But the Titans, like I said, they've got a very young spine. I really like the spine. I think Coach Hannay just needs a bit more time, another year or two, and to try and get them in contention. But we'll move into the first of the 2 games on Friday. The first one up was Warriors-Panthers. Awesome game. One of the best that I've watched so far this season. Warriors running out 28-12 winners against the Panthers. A pivotal moment again. Alamoti Simbin and Isaiah Yeo pec injury, which is going to be massive for the end of the season. It depends how serious it is. Depends how much he's missing. Because if he's out for the season, a strong opinion. But I think no Yeo, no Premiership is what I would say. But Luke Metcalf scored a double on a return. Absolutely fantastic players. We've just spoken about Scott Drinkwater. Luke Metcalf also going to the Dragons. They are 2 serious players that they've signed. And also just a little pointer to add in. The award for the best forward pass that wasn't given as a forward pass from Lindsay Smith. I don't know if you've seen it. But yeah, the officials completely missed it. I've never seen a forward pass so far forward. Did you see this game, Paul?
No, I didn't see it all. I've seen the highlights of, but yeah, I thought it could have gone either way. The game, I tipped the Panthers.
Yeah,
the Warriors at home are a real team, and I guess it's really important to finish top 2 for them.
Yeah, it is.
But obviously there are 2 points outside the top 2. I think Roosters Penrith this week, so they could get one of them. So yeah, it's The Warriors just quietly go about the business. You know, the were shock loss a week ago. And they just keep ticking over. And you know, whoever plays in spine positions, it's not a superstar that they're replacing as such.
No.
So everybody just understands the job. I'm a big fan of Andrew Webster. We've spoken about him before on this pod, Dan and his staff, Richard Agar's down there, and you know, they just do a really good job, and they're really tough to beat at home. So if they did get a top 2 place, then you would absolutely nail them on for a grand final place.
Yeah,
playing the 2 games at home. So a really big result, and it fires a shot, doesn't it, to the top 2? That
it does. Yeah.
If you meet us in a playoff game, then we can get you. So yeah, big result for Andrew Webster and the Warriors, and for the Panthers, a big game this weekend.
Yeah, it is. And going back to the Panthers, Isaiah Yeo, how big of a miss is he? I'll give you the final 4 games that they've got that he could potentially miss. So obviously, as we know, they've got the Roosters tomorrow. They travel away to the Melbourne Storm, which they're very indifferent at the moment. You don't know which side you're going to come up against. Then they're at home to the Canterbury Bulldogs, and then they've got the West Tigers. So without him and his direction and his work in the middle, you could see the Panthers losing another 1, maybe 2 games in them remaining 4, and that could be pivotal, couldn't it, for the top 2 finish?
Well, I think scans have shown that it's not season-ending in terms of surgery, so he's not going to have surgery. So it's going to be a case of rehabilitation and suck it up and see where he's at.
Yeah.
I think he will make the playoffs. I'm not sure he'll play in the next month. It's a tough injury to get over if you've even stretched or torn it even grade 1. So I agree with you. I don't think they can win the Premiership without Isaiah Yeo, and he's pivotal to what they do in the middle of the field and squaring up with Cleary and the other halfback partner, which one that is. Squaring up at the line and playing straight and starting off playing square. So, and not only that, he cleans up. He missed to fix it and missed to clean up. And in the middle of the field, he does so much unseen work. He knows when to run, when to pass, how to clean up, where to be. You know, whether he needs to get around the corner defensively or whether he needs to stay where he is. And I think he's pivotal to the Panthers. And I don't see a Premiership if they don't have him on the field.
No, I agree. Move on to the second game that was on Friday. Sydney Roosters 20, Canterbury Bulldogs 18. Very close. Another game that could have gone either way. This was a really good watch. I give first of all Billy Smith a mention. I know I spoke about him quite a bit because he's been picked for England. He scored a double again, playing on the wing again. And before we go into the game, if he's playing so well and scoring so many tries in the NRL and Brian McDermott's watching him, he's not going to displace Dom Young. The other wing is between Matty Ashton and Tom Johnstone, I would imagine. Do you think there is a world that we live in that Billy Smith could displace both of them, and we start with Dom Young and Billy Smith on the wings?
Yeah, of course there is. Of course there is. Tom's in good form. Tom's in decent form. Matt is back from a serious injury. He scored. Yeah. I think he's scored now 9 in 8 games.
Yeah,
Matty. So there's some good wingers. We've got some good wingers. But if you're talking about playing in the top competition, Dom Young and Billy Smith playing both on the wing for their clubs respectively, then you'd have to have a look at them. Billy can play in the centre as well. So we've got some luxuries in the England team, but a big result for the Roosters. Big result for the Roosters, because you're right, it could have gone either way, and the Dogs are back in the hunt for the 8. I think they've dropped out the 8 now this week. Obviously, we're replaced by the Cowboys. So there's some big games at the end of the NRL season, the regular season, which will mean whichever team gets in the top 8. And if the Dogs are in the 8 or the Cowboys are in the 8, then they could easily win game 1 and displace one of the top 4.
100%. And we, like we just mentioned, then both of these teams, Roosters and Bulldogs, they've still got to play against the Panthers. So they're all scrapping for position. But during that game, Billy Smith got a double, defensively strong and good under a high ball, and that they're obviously all attributes that you need in your international team, especially when you come up against the Aussies and New Zealanders. It was only 8-2 at the half-time break. There was a great break from Bailey Hayward from 9, straight up the middle, and he set up Karaz to make it 8-all straight after half-time. And then we've seen a great solo try from Lockie Galvin, and we know how much flack he's taken over his career at the Bulldogs so far. He played very well. Salesi Fekete, I've got to mention him because he looks some player for the Roosters. I think he's going to go on to be an incredible player. Excuse me. And then during the Fekete try, it was a high bomb put up. I think it might have been Dally Cherry Evans or Sam Walker. I think it was Cherry Evans that put the bomb up, and it was an absolute calamity. So you've got the 2 Bulldogs wingers and the fullback all stood in a triangular position, and all 3 of them didn't communicate. The ball bounced. I think it hit one of the posts or the post bag, and Fekete just sprinted onto it straight under the post. And I thought that was a defining, momentum-changing moment. And then just to finish it off, our very own Victor Radley absolutely pulverised one of the Bulldogs players in the left corner. He's another must-have as well in the squad, isn't he, for England?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as I said, a big result for the Roosters. Some big performances, and without Tedesco. So, you chucked James Tedesco back in the mix with the Roosters. They're in a decent spot.
They are. We move on, triple header on Saturday. Melbourne Storm 42, Sea Eagles 20. I'll be honest with you, even though I tipped the Storm, I've been very reluctant to tip the Storm this year, and I just keep thinking Fosball's going to come back, and I think it's just completely escaped them. I think I worry for Manly. They're looking, there's the shades of Seibold come back into the squad, like that honeymoon period is over. And they've now got to get back to basics and hard work, and I don't see where they go from here. They're going to have to recruit, but a fantastic win for Melbourne, and they've had a tough season as well, and massive injuries. But yeah, I think the Melbourne Storm did very well in this one.
Yeah, they're falling off a cliff, Manly. Since I think there was second or third in the comp after round 10, and they've just fallen off a cliff. It's a real strange one at the Sea Eagles. The pre-season is going to be huge for Kieran Foran and Manly, in terms of not only the recruitment, retention, and who's in the joint, but in terms of how he changes the mentality of the team from being rocks or diamonds from week to week, and or from sort of periods in a season where they won 6 straight and there was diamonds, and then they've lost so many straight now, and they're just they don't look like they know each other's names and how to play with each other. So, a big pre-season needed for Manly. I don't think they make the 8. It's as simple as that. And
and it doesn't get any easier for them this week because they take on the Dolphins, and they've been on fire for a while, haven't they? The Dolphins. I don't see them winning in that game either.
Well, that could be a 40-32 again, couldn't it?
Yeah,
because
it could. Yeah.
The Dolphins don't look like they can defend anything, but if you score more points, I believe you win the game. So
yeah,
they're doing all right in that respect, particularly the win over the Broncos this week. So an interesting end to the season for Manly in terms of how Kieran Foran goes about changing the mentality of some of the players that are in the club.
Yeah.
Because it just seems once it spirals, it spirals out of control for the Seagulls.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough for the Seagulls. Good win for the Storm, but it's a little too late for the Storm, isn't it? So, two teams that they'll be looking to recruit well, although the Storm have started to recruit well, and they'll reset for 2027. Middle game on Saturday was Dolphins 40, Brisbane Broncos 32. Yeah. Another wild game this week. Obviously the Brisbane derby. Ezra Mam got a double. He looked back to his best in this game. Mariner and Willison made it 24-0. The Brisbane led, and normally in an NRL game, you go 24-0 up, it's very difficult for the other team to come back. Hammer, Lemuelu, Isako bring the Dolphins back into it, 24-18. Ezra scored his hat-trick just before Herbie responded right on half-time. So at half-time, Brisbane led 30-24. It was quite a wild first half. Second half, Lemuelu scored his second, made it 30-all. Max Plath, he was sensational. I'll say it every week. He came off the bench and changed the game, just changed the momentum because you could see Brisbane were winning the arm wrestle. But Max Plath came on, changed the game. They scored the 5 tries in 26 minutes once he came onto the pitch. I think he's pivotal. He's imperative that he's in that side. But it works well because it seems to be Morgan Knowles does the first 20 minutes. They bring Max on for the middle section, and then Morgan finishes the game out normally. And it seems to be Christian Wolf's got that game plan right.
Yeah, they won't win a comp with conceding points to conceding. It's as simple as that. When premierships are won, they're won by the team that is really tight defensively. So the character in the Dolphins team was phenomenal. To go from 24-0 down to win a game of rugby league in the NRL is unheard of. I guess it's so difficult to do. So Hammer's a huge player for them. Tabu Alfidau is massive for what the Dolphins are about. Herbie's huge for them as well. So for him to go along and knock off them games is huge and pick up 2 points, but they're going to have to defend so much better than what they're defending to win a premiership. It's as simple as that. And the next step for them might be that you show all the character and you attack really well, but you've got to become a steely defensive team.
Yeah, I agree. As we just mentioned then, the Dolphins go up against the Sea Eagles, so I feel that they'll get the win again there. But the Broncos are at home to the Warriors. It's just more punishment in store for them, I think.
You say that, they'll probably beat the Warriors.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah, you can never call it. The final game of the triple header on Saturday was the Sydney Rabbitohs 28, Parramatta Eels 24. Sin bin for Brian Kelly after the first 2 minutes, I think it was. That was just ridiculous. And then it was 5 tries for the Bunnies in the first 25 minutes, including a hat-trick for AJ. Phenomenal player. He's going to go down as the best or one of the best, surely. Jai Gray scored on the stroke of half-time to make it 28-0 to the Bunnies half-time. It was a game of 2 halves. Eels' valiant, strong comeback, scored 24 unanswered points, but it ended up finishing 28-24. It's the same again. You can't go 28-0 up and then just capitulate because you just will not get far in the final series, will you?
No, you won't. It's as simple as that. Again, a good win for the Rabbitohs, but you just can't. You wonder what happens at half time in some of the games. I wonder what's said at half time and what's done, and what the shift in mentality is for the teams. To win 28-0 and then lose 24-0 is just a crazy game of rugby league.
Yeah.
So. The Eels are a funny team, aren't they? They've got it in them to to win games like that. But again, if you start a game of rugby league so poorly, very rarely do you come back. So the Dolphins did a good job to come back and end up winning a game, and unfortunately for the Eels, they just couldn't get back over the top of what was a 28-0 lead.
No. And the Eels this week, they take on the Cowboys, which obviously the only thing that the Eels can do now is kind of disrupt the 8. But for the Bunnies, it's an absolutely huge game on Friday. They play the Bulldogs, both scrapping for the top 8. So that'll be interesting this week. First of the Sunday games, Canberra Raiders 24, Newcastle Knights 30. Knights winning out again, but a lot of points scored in the Knights game. It's the same again for the Newcastle Knights. As much as I've loved watching them this year, they have conceded quite a lot of points, but they're getting the wins. That's the most important thing. It was 18-all at half time, and as we mentioned earlier, the turning point, big red brain explosion. The pen was reversed, so the penalty was actually given to Canberra, and they could have kicked the goal to make it. I think it was 24-all at the time, 26-all at the time. So it was 26-24. Could have kicked the conversion and gone into golden point potentially. And then all of a sudden, momentum completely switched. He gets a sin bin, penalty reversed, and then the Knights score to close out the game, 30-24. What could have been?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be Corey Horsburgh this week. You'd be avoiding Ricky Stewart at all costs after what he said. I'm not sure Ricky says that if Corey's not leaving the club either, by the way.
No.
I think he comes out and he knows that Corey's going to be going, and he has got that in him. And he speaks about, he refers to earlier in the season when the team was selfish and self-indulgent.
Yeah.
And I think that's a direct shot at other players in the joint, but it's easy to go at Corey Horsburgh because he's leaving the club.
Yeah.
I think he probably regrets it a little bit now, but I wouldn't care if I was Corey Horsburgh. I would be avoiding Ricky Stewart at all costs during this week. So it was a hell of a blow up from Ricky Stewart, and I guess that comes with being minor premiers last year and going to miss out on the final series. And the pressure of it, but he's not wrong, Ricky. By the way, he's not wrong. We watched Alex Twal do it to Salmon a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, and he got sin-binned, and you just can't raise your hands and strike somebody in the face, and it's not even a closed fist anymore; it's a slap, isn't it?
Yeah. You just can't do it.
Yeah. So a tough one for the Raiders, but again, the Knights knock it off, but they'll have to defend better in the final series.
Well, they go up against the Gold Coast Titans on Sunday. The Newcastle Knights do. They're sitting sixth place, just behind the Dolphins. So I see the Dolphins and the Knights making the playoffs now. I think the Knights win this game on the weekend as well against the Titans. Yeah. For the Raiders, they travel away to the Cronulla Sharks, which we're going to go on to. That was the final game of the round, Game 8 on Sunday. Dragons 24, Sharks 16. Surprised?
Absolutely. The kick up the arse, I think Craig Fitzgibbon refers it to the kick up the arse that the club or the players might need. Yeah. You don't see them results come in. You don't see a team that's been clocking up points come in. I think the greatest thing for the Sharks is to lose this game and have the kick up the arse. For all the talk of Nico Hines' record to be out of the window, they can just reset a little bit. It'd have been an interesting review. A really interesting review in the Sharks, because if I was Craig Fitzgibbon, I'd have gone after the players. I'd have gone after them and let them know that, there's some deficiencies in their game that they need to fix up before finals football. Otherwise, it becomes a season again that peters out at the end of it, losing one or two playoff games in succession, and you're out of the competition.
Well, it was such an important game for the Sharks, though. That's what got to me, because looking at the league table, they're still sat in fourth place, but now it's just on points difference because the Dolphins have caught up to them. So they could very easily drop out of that top four, and that is massive. If the Sharks were to lose, that's so important for the final series. But during the game, it was 12-10 to the Dragons at half time, so they just weren't on it from the off. And then Fanua Blake got a sin bin with 10 minutes to go. That was just vital, and it just got from worse, as Hines missed his kick as well to break the world record, so it was just all bad all around. But yeah, the The Sharks have got a very important week this week. They go up against the Raiders side, who were unlucky against the Knights. But you look at that game now and you think the Sharks have to win. It's a must-win.
It's a must-win, and particularly after you lose a game and you allow the team behind to close that gap. Yeah. As you've said, the Dolphins are breathing down the Sharks' necks now, and it's imperative that when you lose a game, you win the next one. We saw that with the Cowboys when they were beaten handsomely, 80 points plus by the Roosters. Yeah. It's important that you win the next game, and it doesn't matter how you win this one. I think it's important that you win this one no matter how. And then you brush up on performances leading into the final series. But yeah, it's going to be a real interesting end to the regular season.
It is. Well, that wraps it up for round 23 for the Indigenous round this week. Please remember to like and subscribe and drop your comments in on all your opinions to do with the NRL, the games past and obviously the upcoming, and whether you agree with us or don't agree with us, we're happy to take all comments on board. So it's now time to get into the Super League news. Super League news this week then, headed up by the biggest story everyone knows by now. Castleford Tigers head coach Ryan Carr stood down pending an investigation. There's not much come out by the club, just a brief statement on the website. Do you think his time is up at the Castleford Tigers, Paul?
Yeah, I don't think he coaches again at the Tigers. You don't get stood down as a coach for something that's minor. It's got to be a major incident. So whatever it is and whatever we've not heard yet, and you've got to be really careful because there's so many rumours and innuendo knocking around. Yeah. Legally, there's got to be something that's got to be done with regards to Ryan's contract and whether there's a severance package or not. So, yeah. But I don't think he coaches at the Tigers again for the rest of 26, and I think his time's probably done at the Tigers for the remainder of his contract. Once this it becomes an untenable situation, in my opinion. Yeah. So, I may well be wrong. I might be wrong, but my experience in the game tells me that Ryan Carr's probably done.
Before we move on from it, the one thing that sticks out for me is, obviously, we know he was an assistant coach at the St George Illawarra Dragons, and they've signed either 3 or 4 players from the Dragons, and I don't know how that went on, because that might have been the last push over the line to get them deals done, and the club have actually reached out to all the players at the Dragons to reassure them. But what sort of reassurance can you give if they can't give a definitive answer on whether he'll actually be there or not?
Well, ultimately, it depends on what the player wants to do. You don't have to fly 12,000 miles around the world if you don't want to.
No.
And they don't have to come. No. Castleford will sit in a decent position legally if the contract is signed and sealed, which I imagine it is for them to announce the signing. So, it's an interesting one. They may well have wanted to come to work for Ryan Carr particularly, or they may have no other option in the NRL, so they're coming anyway.
It's true.
The club's probably done the right thing in terms of reaching out and trying to reassure them that the club will move forward and they'll still be part of it moving forward. So it'll be interesting what happens. But obviously, I don't believe Ryan Carr will be at the club, and that may well see 1 or 2 of their signings not want to come. But obviously that remains to be seen. I don't think that'll be the case. I think they'll come. I think they'll come and play for the Tigers.
I hope they do, because they've signed some quality players, haven't they?
Damien Cook's exciting.
Yeah, he is.
He's always been an exciting player, quick out dummy half. Tyrell Sloan scoring lots of tries on the wing. Probably signed to come and play fullback. So the Tigers have got some real work to do in terms of reassuring the fans, and they can't say too much. The fans are upset by it. There was a few, chants for Ryan Carr, but until it all comes out and everything comes out, Dan, you can make an assumption that you're on Ryan Carr's side or the club's side, but you still don't know what's happened.
No.
What you can say is that the investigation means that it's probably untenable and he won't be at the club.
Yeah, agreed. We move on to the next piece of news. Quite a big piece of news, to be fair. Solomona Faataape joins the Saints for 2027 on a 2-year deal. We've seen how well he's played in the centres for the Dragons. This is some positive news for the Saints, considering how much of a calamity it's been this season.
Yeah, Nelly McDonald told he can find another club, and there'll be 1 or 2 more at the club that's probably under contract that they've got the recruitment wrong in their eyes. Faataape deal's a good one. I'm not sure what's happened between him and John Cartwright. I mean, he's under contract there next year. I'm not sure why you'd want to sell him. Maybe financially, Bernard Gwash wants to sell and the club want to sell. Or maybe they've got somebody else lined up and they're going to use Faataape's wage. But he's been one of the shining lights at the Dragons.
He has. Well,
I don't understand them allowing him to leave when he's under contract.
It's like what you mentioned last week, though, where John Cartwright's given the option to all the players in his squad, whether you want to stay or you want to go. Maybe he should have tried a different approach of trying to nurture them. This is my ideas. This is how I want to move forward. You're going to be this player for me. And
you don't want to lose quality players, Dan.
No, you don't. He's a very good player. Yeah.
He's been, as I said, I think he's been one of the best for them this year in terms of quality and what they've brought in. So, there's a couple of players there that are not under contract next year that he wants to know the answer to, John Cartwright, and rightly so. He's agreed he's agreed 2 years. Has been mooted this week. So, it's an interesting time for the Dragons, a really interesting time, and I think it's a good signing for Saints. He's been good this year for the Dragons. He'll want to come in and stamp his mark on the Saints team. The next biggest thing for Saints is the head coach, isn't it? Because you can't continually sign players, or recruit players that are out of contract, particularly without them knowing who they're going to come and work
because
for.
you don't know if that. I mean, Faataape probably fits in most game plans, but you don't know if you start signing certain middles or certain strike player. You don't know if that's going to actually benefit that coach's style of play. So, I totally agree with you. The next one was also as equally as big. Davy Litton handing in a transfer request at Hull FC, and he's now agreed a 4-year deal to join the Wakefield Trinity. Where do you stand on this one? Are you surprised or are you happy? It's mixed feelings.
Well, he's their top try scorer this year with 10, Davy. He's injured right now, missed last week's game. The win at the Saints, a good win for them, by the way, at the St Helens. It's an interesting one because Steve McNamara's got his idea of what he wants, and he's probably. I think Davy's out of contract. Whether they've offered him a new deal, whether it's a transfer request, I'm not sure. But I think it's probably a good move for Davy Litton and the club if they're getting a 6-figure transfer fee from a club that wanted him, and he gets a fresh start away from Hull, because I understand how difficult it is in Hull as a young player with outside influences, whether that be friends or what you consider friends, family, the goldfish bowl of Hull, and being around Hull, particularly on nights out and going out into nightclubs and such, when you're enjoying and letting your hair down. It's not an easy place to be. So if Davey gets out of Hull, which I think he's going to move over, it could well be a really good move for him. I think Cam Scott went from Hull to Wakefield and became a little bit of a better player. Yeah, and Davey might become a little bit of a better player. He's still only young, so
as you just mentioned,
could be a good move for both.
As you just mentioned there, then obviously we know they've got Cam Scott. We know they've now got Davy Litton. Does this?
No, Cam Scott's going. Cam's going to Bradford.
Is he?
Cam's gone to Bradford. Yeah, he's signed for Bradford. So that Davy replaces him with Roger. It's again spinning plates down at Wakefield, because you got Tuivasa-Sheck coming in. Max Jowett's been rumoured to be moving on. You've got Davy Litton coming in for Cam Scott. So you've got to keep a squad that's of depth as well. So it's interesting.
Would you say then there's still a place to then go for Harry Robertson from Saints, is the question I'm trying to ask.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. If I'm St Helens, I'm building around Harry Robertson. So there's no way I'm accepting a transfer fee. If St Helens have just paid money for Faataape, why would you accept a fee for another player when you can build around that player for many years to come? Because with all due respect, last Thursday night, he was probably the only shining light of a diabolical performance from St Helens. So there was poor last Thursday. Some of the senior players was really poor. There's a distinct lack of confidence there. And Harry Robertson plays with so much confidence. The try he scored at the end, the chip try, he was a constant threat to Hull FC. If I'm Eamon McManus and the new coach at St Helens, I'm doing everything possible to build around him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Next piece of news, John Bateman confirmed by the Bradford Bulls on a 2-year deal. He's coming home. He's going to finish his career off where he started. The Bradford Bulls need some sort of direction and experience in that pack, and he is vital. I feel. Do you feel the same about John signing for Bradford?
Yeah, you would hope that he can come over and have a similar impact to Ryan Sutton. He's obviously Ryan had injury issues at the Raiders and the Dogs when he was coming to the end of his NRL career. He didn't play too much, but he's come over here and refound that vigour and form.
Yeah.
And you would hope that John can do the same. I think he's a big signing because he's a leader, and they need some leaders on the field. Bradford, they've fallen off that cliff at the end of the season, which we all expected with the injuries they've had.
Yeah.
But also the recruitment for Bradford's going to be interesting with the length and widen of the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because right now at Bradford you don't see too many blowouts. We saw a little bit of one. We got to 40 points with Warrington last week, but there's more space around you to defend, and you've got to have agility and the ability to defend one-on-one when the pitch is widened. And I think Haggerty's recruitment will reflect being able to attack with more space around you and being able to defend with more space around you. So John Bateman fits that a little bit. He's not been in great form. He's not played too much, but if you can get back to some kind of quality which John possesses, and class is permanent, form is temporary. So. I think it'll be a good signing for the club.
I just feel as well, before we move on from the Bulls, if they can get the Blake Lawrie deal done that we mentioned last week from the Dragons, so you'd have Blake Lawrie, you'd have Ryan Sutton, you'd have Joe Mellor, and you'd obviously have John Bateman. That's pretty good start to a pack for your 2027, and they're not done recruiting yet. I think they're heading in the right direction, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It takes time, doesn't it? It takes time, and they were behind the 8 ball last year when it comes to recruitment because they were put into the Super League so late. So within about 6 weeks, I think Kurt had turned around 15 players. So, it's not easy to recruit and retain, and I think they've done a good job. Throw Cam Scott into that, who's been good at Wakefield. He's going to be recruited by the club, so, into the centres. So, it's a special time for the Bulls fans because they've been exiled from the Super League for so long, and are back in this year.
Yeah.
The second bottom right now. If they don't finish bottom, that's a huge achievement in my opinion. So
it is.
They've got the big game against Huddersfield coming up in a couple of weeks.
Next one, Callum Watkins has signed a 1-year extension with the Leeds Rhinos. I think he's been every bit as good as he ever has been in his career this year. I think he's so vital and important. And we talked about experience on the pitch around, especially the young players that Leeds are bringing through. I think this is a good move, and I would imagine Callum's going to move into some sort of coaching role with the Leeds Rhinos. He's been immense for them over his career.
A fine wine, isn't it? He gets better with age. And,
he does.
Well, I guess 1-year contracts are good at the age that Callum's at and the older you get, because 1, it keeps the player hungry, and 2, it means the club get a look for a year.
Yeah.
If it's a poor year, then they can let the player go.
Yeah.
So Callum's been brilliant at Leeds since he rejoined the club. Chris Hankinson, another one, who I think they've re-signed on a 1-year contract or been given an extension. So there's a couple of other bits of retention that Leeds have got to get out there or make a decision on.
Yeah.
But they're also in the market for some good players. But Callum's a good piece of business.
100%. The final piece of news, which I think was a bit of a strange one, but no surprise after his performance last week. Lee Leopard's new signing, Lazarus Vialepu, signed him from the Melbourne Storm. He had a bit of a shocker against Wigan, let's be honest. He's now been sent out on loan to Oldham. It's either a 1 or 2 week deal. He just doesn't look at the races, does he? I don't know if it's fitness. I don't know if it's the physicality that's slightly different. I don't know. He just doesn't seem to have adjusted. And the one thing that sticks out into my mind was what you mentioned last week when he did that offload and it was an interception. Absolute disaster and momentum changing. And I think... Yeah, they haven't really done a statement on it. Do you think this is kind of a punch from Adrian Lamb, or does he need a bit of extra time to adjust? What's your views on this?
I think probably extra time to adjust. I think you find it difficult when you're an overseas player coming over because, one, they don't understand the physicality of the game. It's very different to the NRL. It's probably a lot slower.
Yeah.
The rucks are a lot slower. So. You can come over here thinking that because you played in the NRL, it's going to be a little bit easier. But I think I've listened to Blake Austin quite a bit on his podcast, and he says that you don't understand how physical the game can be over there. So I think he needs game time. He needs time to adjust. But ultimately, when your team's fit, facing games to finish in the top 6 and you make the errors he made, then you're not going to play in that team. So the reserve comp's no good for him because it'd be far, far too easy.
Yeah.
And the championship step down to Oldham will be a level where he can gain some fitness and some confidence, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yes, we will. Well, that wraps it up for this week's Super League news. We're going to get straight into the Super League Round 22 analysis. Super League Round 22 results then. First game was Thursday's game. Another poor Saints performance. Hull FC running out 32-18 winners. Watching the game live, there was a lot of poor defensive reads from both teams, wasn't there? But the Hull FC just had a better game than the Saints. The Saints are just completely gone, aren't they?
First half was tough to watch.
Yeah.
And I said at half time, I was live on TalkSport 2 this weekend with Craig Murdoch, and I said at half time, if we can get a 6 or 7 completion rates from either team, whichever one completes 6 or 7 and grinds the other team down and win the game. And I thought Hull did that for 15 minutes, second half.
Yeah.
I thought they completed 6 to 8 sets and scored 2 tries and went 12 in front, and it was game over.
Yeah.
The Jake Arthur pass is a thing of beauty to me. You know, the long looping pass to Lewis Martin. Saints are in bother, but when you've been poor for so long for Hull FC and it's such a special result away from home, I think it says more about Hull FC than it does about Saints.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I thought they were big. SCSA, who I had a shot at about his fitness.
He stood up, didn't he?
His first stint was really good in the first half.
Yeah, he did. He stood up.
Yeah, he did. Arthur was good. Caesar was better. Barron scoring a hat trick and coming out the yardie. I just feel that, you know, and particularly the fans that went from Hull, the die-hard fans that went, I'm really pleased for them because it had been such a good journey home for them after 8 weeks and a long between drinks for a win. So, you know, I just thought Hull was good, and you know, ultimately I've had to be negative about them for so many weeks because they've been so poor. But that was a really good performance and result and a standard that they've set for themselves. And they've got a big chance to go back-to-back this week with a home game against Castleford, which I'm attending with the ex-players at Hull. I'm kindly been invited to that. So I'm looking forward to that, just going as a fan and watching the team and seeing how they can back up. But, yeah, brilliant. You know, really pleased for Andy Last, the staff have worked hard. And, you know, it's not been an easy time for the club, but you know, well done to them, and
it is.
You know, a couple of really big, nice players that I really enjoyed watching.
It is, and I text my dad before the game, and I just had this feeling. I thought I've just got this sense that Hull FC we're gonna run out winners. And another stat as well. Lewis Martin has now got 49 tries in 72 games for a team that's been straddling at the bottom of the table for a couple of seasons. He's done pretty well, and like you said, that pass from Arthur's to was it Harvey Barron or Martin that scored on that wing?
No, it was Martin on the left edge. Yeah.
That pass that he gave was fantastic, and Harvey Barron, like you say, scoring a hat trick. I thought he was fantastic. And yeah, I've got a feeling with all the stuff that's going on at Castleford at the moment, Hull could actually go back to back. It's a good chance.
I couldn't see Hull winning the game, Dan, after the performance the week before at Huddersfield. No. And it's funny, Rugby League, isn't it? The week's a long time, but you know, you just couldn't see Hull FC going there and getting a result. And then, you know, it's funny because we was driving over the M62, me and Craig, and we both said something quite funny. Hull could either lose by 50 or win by 30.
Yeah.
You know, and they're a funny team, Hull.
Yeah.
You know, if they get it right, then they're really tough to beat. One of the few teams to beat Leeds Rhinos this year.
Yeah.
They got a result against Leeds, so you know they've got it in them. It's just about the consistency, and
that's what I was going to say.
I don't want to be negative at the end, but you know they've got to back up, and I hope they can back up this weekend.
I think they will,
and see where they get to.
Yeah, I generally think they will back up, and it's like what you said last week that they've got the talent there. They've just got to they've got to apply themselves, and as we seen in this game, they did. And it was a nice moment at the end. We seen likes of Zach Hardacre and that going over to the fans and speaking to them and having conversations. It was just a nice moment for what's been a tough season for them.
The support over there is really good, because when you're winning, it's the best place to be, Dan.
Yeah.
When you're losing, it's the worst place to be. But when you're winning, they're all behind you, they're all on top of you, they're all loving you. So
Yeah.
a really big week this week for Hull, to back up, and I hope they can. But a tough week for Castleford this week, obviously with their loss at home, but a big week for Hull FC.
Yeah, 100%. Friday seen 3 games. The first one that we'll go into is arguably one of the best games of the season so far in the Super League. Wakefield Trinity 22, Leeds Rhinos 24. Another game that could have gone either way. It was literally set for the first 20 minutes. Vagana's first try from a kick with a wicked bounce from Jack Sinfield. Jack Sinfield, honestly, man, he is going to be some player. It's hard with him because he's always going to get compared to his father, and his father was obviously one of the best ever to play in the league. But Jack Sinfield, honestly, he's been a revelation there. Faataape again, Hamlin Ueli again, 2 massive players off the bench for them. There was a moment in the match where Faataape burst through. It was an enormous run and ended up putting Hamlin Ueli. They combined, put Hamlin Ueli under the sticks. That was an amazing try. But unfortunately, they couldn't get the result against the Rhinos. Brodie Croft, just before half-time, made it 16-6 at half-time. Hankinson got the winning try in the 76th minute, which was a heartbreaker for Wakefield. But an amazing advertisement for our league, our game, our sport. I thought it was an amazing game.
Yeah, I saw the highlights. I was at the Hull KR, the Castle Hull KR game, so I didn't see the game live, but the try at the end from Hankinson breaks the hearts. I had Wakefield by 4. I think the majority of last week on other podcast I do, we had Wakefield by 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, heartbreak. But it shows how far Leeds have come as well, because I think a few months ago they played in the Challenge Cup game and lost the game at Wakefield narrowly. So yeah, there's real character shown. At 22-6, they probably shouldn't come back.
No.
I think Brad Arthur asked them for some character at half time, and they showed it in abundance. Cameron Smith given the player of the match, and a huge tackle on the right winger for Wakefield, where he's almost destined to score. So there's some huge moments in that game. And a great game of rugby, and it shows what we've probably got to look forward to in 5 weeks' time when the regular season finishes, and them top teams are going to play each other. A really big result for Leeds Rhinos away at Wakefield, and for Wakefield, it probably just shows that they need to be at it longer in games and put games to bed against the big teams to be able to progress in playoffs.
It was unfortunate. It was unfortunate for a neutral as well, because if Wakefield would have held on, first, second, and third in the table would all now be on 34 points and split by points difference. And it's been a while since we've had 3 teams, on this going into the final rounds on the same points. But yeah, unfortunate for Trinity. Got to get back on the horse now. I mean, they've got a Paul Saints side coming to visit this week, so I think they'll get back on the horse this week. But Rhinos, like I said to you last week, they are my tip to win it this year. I just think they've got enough. Second game then, the one that you did commentate on, Hull KR 44, Castleford Tigers 0. Does the scoreline paint the picture, Paul?
Cass started the game really well. They just didn't have the ability to open up a stern Hull KR defence. And then, Hull KR get one shot, they go down the other end, and Jez Litton just pulls a rabbit out of the hat and scores a wonder try with a jump out of dummy half, a kick around Jack Brown, a regather before PLT gets there, and then he scores, and it's 6-0, and then there's a second try to Tom Davis. It's only 10-0 at the break. It's game on, but I think all the stats was in Hull KR's favour to go on and have a second half performance. And you worry for Castleford second half when they're down on stats, because the week before Warrington put 30 plus on them second half, and all of a sudden the game blows out for them. But I think after a tough week for Castleford, the last thing you wanted was the champions rolling into town, and they probably got they got what they deserved in the end after a stern first half performance. But Hull KR are just too good. And Hull KR are quietly going about their business. It's going to be a big end to the season for them. They've won 3 without Mikey Lewis. They play at home this week to the Catalan team without Mikey Lewis before he comes back from his suspension. So A big end to the season for them. But yeah, a tough night for Castleford with the scoreline and what's happened during the week with Ryan Carr.
Is it also this week that they play the game in hand against Warrington? Is it Tuesday? This Tuesday?
I don't know whether it's Tuesday night or I think it probably is Tuesday night. They play Catalan, York, and then sandwiched in between is the Warrington game.
Yeah.
It's either this week or next. I'm not sure, Dan, if I'm honest.
As we said last week, that's pivotal for both of them sides, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hull KR and Warrington. But the one thing I wanted to mention, that the second half tries, Tyrone May got 2, Joe Burgess intercept, that was good to watch. Hiku got 1, Davies got his second, but the offload from Petter Hiku, that was unbelievable. The flick round the back.
Well, it's all eyes up rugby from Tyrone May. I think Tyrone May said about a month ago he wants to find his own form, and Mikey Lewis wasn't there, and he's had to stand up. The try that he sets up for Hiku's a really big play. It's 4v4 and he skips to the B defender. It's a really nice play. And then the other one's the eyes up one where he just finds the chip over the top. There's a flat line of 4 against him. The cast left edge is up, and PLT just slightly out of position. Hiku gets it, and Matt Gidley, if you've got a pass named after you, one hell of a player. Matt Gidley's still got that, and he finds Tom Davis for a double. But yeah, job well done for Hull KR. Yeah. Job well done. If you offer 44-0, particularly the 0 in a Super League game, and you're done and you move on.
Away from home as well. Away from home.
Tough.
Important.
Big performance.
And before we move on, we'll try and give a positive spin on the Tigers, because it's going from bad to worse at the moment, isn't it? They need to get the coaching situation sorted out and resolved. But they've got a lot to look forward to next season. They've got some quality, quite a few quality players coming in. So it is looking for next season for the Cast Tigers now, unfortunately. The last game on Friday was Lee Leopards 22, York Knights 14. Bennison got a hat-trick. He's been a try-scoring machine for York this year. Josh Charnley and Offengawi, absolutely immense player. And I was saying, when he was leaving the Parramatta Eels, I couldn't believe that Derek Beaumont and the Leopards got the deal done. And I couldn't believe that another NRL club didn't try and keep him over there, because he is one of the best forwards in the league. I just love watching him. Badrock first try of the second half from a neat pass, just held it up by Lachlan Lamb and popped him through the gap. Lachlan Lamb, another one we've spoken about. Then Lamb involved again to set up Armstrong, another really good player for Leopards. But they needed this win, didn't they? They needed to bounce back from that disappointing defeat last week.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doesn't matter how they get it. And York are a really tough team to play against, and a tough team to get over the top of. Never seem to get hammered. I know Wigan got them earlier on in the year by 70, but a really big. Mark Applegarth's done a good job. Imperative, as I said, after a loss. With some of the NRL results we spoke about earlier, Dan, imperative after a loss that you get a result, and it doesn't matter really how you get it. And for Lee Leopards, when they play against the better teams, everyone's up for it. I don't know whether this is a mentality thing, but they struggled against Cast Tigers at home when everybody was hammering Cast. Cast was really close to beating them. Struggled at home against the York team who were towards the bottom end of the table. Maybe a mentality thing for them, but as I said, imperative they got 2 points and move on, and a big end to the season for the Leopards. And did enough to win the game, And honourable mention to Bennison, as you say, flying at York with tries.
Yeah, and like I said last week, Mark Applegarth, for the tools that he's had available to him, I think he's done a fantastic job with the York Knights. They're now sat 10th in the league. I know there's not much between 8th and 14th. The gap's closed quite a bit, but for the Leopards, important win, especially with Saints losing at home against Hull FC. They're now cemented in 6th place, 4 points in front with, 5 games left, or
5 to go.
5 to go. Yep. So, I think that seals it. The first game on Saturday was the Huddersfield Giants 42, Catalan Dragons 20. I know the Giants have been picking up form again lately. They had a couple of victories, but I just didn't see. I thought Catalans would turn up. I generally did. I didn't think it would be that much of a difference in the scoreline. But Sam Halsall with an intercept try after 4 minutes, shortly after a brilliant Makinson run down the left wing. This just summed them up. And they obviously threw the ball from left to right. And Sam Halsall intercepted it, went almost full length, or 70, 80 metres. Fenton Rogers, amazing performance. And Connor Wrench, again, I think he's been a revelation. I've said it a couple of times. Since they brought him back out of retirement, I think he's a massive strike weapon for the Giants. How do you see the Giants? Is it just that they've had a good run of 3 games, 3 fixtures, or do you think that there's things changing under Jim Lenihan now?
I think they're changing a little bit. I think for 6 to 7 weeks they've been probably overindulging in terms of practice because they've not been great all season. So there's been a bit of intensity change in terms of the way they practice. They've spoken a lot about the stuff that doesn't require any talent in games, turning up on the inside, getting players in the frame for tap backs or to make last ditch tackles. I think there's been an effort change and an intensity change from Huddersfield, which has culminated in 6 weeks of heartache inside Jim coming in to 3 weeks of wins. So I'm really pleased, and it's a fascinating journey that they're on with Jim Lenihan. The news obviously this week that they're moving to their games to Dewsbury, which, if it's not easy to go to Huddersfield or to play at home as a Huddersfield player and get up for games when there's some few people in such a big stadium. So on the up. The game's over at the break. I watched the first half live, and then I travelled over to Bradford to do the game again.
It was 36-0. Yeah,
it's game over. Yeah. It's game over at the break. You can't see Catalan coming back. I'm with you. I felt Catalan would turn up, but you never quite know which Catalan's turning up.
No, you don't.
I guess the questions John Cartwright's asking of the players: are you staying? Are you not staying? Who's going? Do you want to be here or don't you want to be here? That's reflective in the performances. It's like some of them just aren't turning up, and some of them are just turning up with substandard performance.
Surely, from a head coach's point of view, you'll know because you've been one. You don't give the player that choice. You tell them whether you're going to be here or not. You can tell surely whether he wants to be here or not. You don't give him an option and say, "Oh, do you want to stay with us next year, or do you want to have a look somewhere else?" I just feel like you walk straight into that club and you've got to send the right message straight away, and I don't feel like he has. I don't know him as a person, but I just feel like from what we've got through the press, I just think it should have been, maybe he should have gone in with a bit more of an iron fist, so to speak. But as you said, 36-0 at half-time, job done. I mean, Catalans did score 20 points combined, in the second half to bring them slightly back into it. But by that point, it's game over. It's done. Now we've got Huddersfield obviously still bottom in the wooden spoon position. They're on 10 points, but above them it's brought quite a few with the 3 wins they've had. Everyone's back into play now for this last spot because you've got
particularly Bradford play. I think they play in 2 weeks. Huddersfield play Bradford in 2 weeks at Bradford, so that could be very much the battle for who finishes in wooden spoon.
Yeah, agreed. Second game on Saturday was Wigan Warriors 48, Toulouse 18. Toulouse actually scored the first try in this one. Eckersley pegged him back straight away, near enough. I have to mention him, Zach Eckersley, because I know it's hard to find a spot for everyone in the England squad, but he's basically putting his name out there saying, pick me. I think he's been sensational this year for the Wigan Warriors. Bevan French try to put them in front. You can call it weak defence or whatever you may be, but he's just a magician, isn't he? And Cesar Rouge, I thought he played very well for Toulouse, from what I've seen of it. Hodgkinson scored to make it 24-18 at half-time, so it was still a very close game at half-time. But the second half, I don't know what Matty Peake gave them or told them, but they just turned it on. Eckersley got his second. Sam Esse, another big body, but we know he's moving on, isn't he? Jai Field's try from the Bevan French kick was the standout moment.
Sublime.
Yeah, sublime. And Marshall got his second to finish it off. Wigan Warriors, incredible again. Do you see them? Are you sticking with it? You see them going on to get to Old Trafford?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't think they've lost until the week before the grand final when they played the kids against Hull KR. And you shouldn't really count that because it was a hiding to nothing where he rests his players for Wembley and they go on and win convincingly at Wembley, which turns out to be a masterstroke. So they haven't lost for so long competitively, if you take that one out. So, they're in good form. French and Field try was a joy to watch.
While we're on that, you as a past player, you would have seen players or even done it that sort of stuff yourself. what runs through your mind as soon as he's broke that line? Is that already in his mind? Is he seeing that and he knows Jai's coming through as well? Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
That.
I think he comes a little bit late, Jai, and he just has a quick look over his left shoulder and sees him, and he knows how quick Jai Field is as well, doesn't he? So
yeah.
he sees him coming, and then he puts boot to ball, and he's still probably got 2 meters to make up on the chasing Toulouse player who was always going to get in front of, but French just steps off his right foot a couple of times. I think I described it as agility, footwork, speed, skill, and then more speed.
Yeah.
It's just a brilliant try, and if you're a Wigan Warriors fan, you're a bit everybody's a bit envious that you're getting to watch them two, particularly them two, as a duo. So Harry Smith's a big one for them, because if Harry's not fit, I think they'll lose some direction and some calmness in terms of a kicking game.
Well,
I think his performance was big as well, Harry Smith.
It was important they got him tied down, wasn't it, to a longer term deal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive. But yeah, Warriors running out 48-18 victors over Toulouse, which brings us into our final game of the round 22 analysis. Bradford Bulls 4, Warrington Wolves 42. We were both in attendance of this. You were commentating on it. Ethan Ryan got the first try. Matty Ashton strolled in from a wonderful try assist from Thewlis. Ill discipline killed the Bulls, I thought, in the first half. They were getting penned down into certain areas, like I think you described it on your commentary, and they just let them out of the crunch zone. They didn't either give a high tackle or holding down or whatever, and it just, they're like, you would label them as coach killers, so it just alleviated all the pressure that they were building, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit mostly to do with what Warrington did with the ball and where they ended sets.
Yeah.
So when continually Irwin and Hayes left the ball 2 meters from the Bradford try line, countless times Caleb Aitken caught the ball and was hit on catch.
Yeah.
Then the next tackle's in the 10, and the next tackle's in the 10. Then they just get to 30 before they kick the ball, and then Bradford are coming out their own end, and then they kick the ball 4 or 5 times. They put them in really tough positions, and then that takes all of the energy out of you. So when you do get Warrington down their end, you get lazy with your technique.
Yeah.
And I felt it was more to do with what Hayes and Irwin and Warrington did to them with the speed of ruck.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I asked Sam Burgess after the game, what changes with the pitch dimensions being so narrow? 5.5 meters either side, 11 meters narrower than the Halliwell Jones, and then 12 meters in length, shorter. So a lot more angle changes, 2-man tackles when you change angles, playing the speed of ruck. I thought Walker was brilliant. He runs 7 times for over 100 meters. And there was a couple of people that said, why pick him as player of the match? But when you play at Bradford, unless you've played there and you understand what the middles have to do to get a result, you don't understand how important Danny Walker was to that game.
I was going to say, he's influential, isn't he, Danny Walker? We've spoken about him in the past, and just because you've got a Ewan Irwin or a Matty Ashton, just because they're scoring the points, finishing the nice moves off, you kind of, some fans, or a lot of fans, they steer away from the actual foundations, don't they? And Danny Walker's
tunnel vision by what you see in terms of big plays.
Yeah.
When you've got to understand that there's lots of really small plays that go into getting them boys in that position. I thought Ewan Irwin was brilliant, and I thought Hayes was very good. Between the 3 of them in the spine, they were the best 3 players on the field.
Yeah.
But I just felt what Danny Walker did in terms of bringing forwards onto the ball, putting them behind the ruck with smart plays and grabbing markers, getting out of there and causing chaos by getting to a defender and playing short with support runners. So, I thought Warrington were very good. Job done. It's not easy to go to Odsal, and I don't think it suits the way Kurt wants to play.
No.
The Bradford coach wants to play either. But, a big performance for Warrington. Keep knocking them off for them. They've got a huge period coming up with 3 games in 12 days, 10-12 days, and that'll tell us where they're at the end of the season.
I thought Papua was very good. He's been a great signing for them. And there was 2 other things that stuck out for me, especially seeing it live. Toby King's read of the defensive line to exploit the middles for Geordie Crowther's try.
Yeah.
That was fantastic work by Toby King to send Geordie under. The other one was, it was a bittersweet. So Philbin scored a very, very good try. The very next set, he's got some sort of injury, doesn't play the ball. He's trying to get a penalty, but then goes to play the ball and makes a complete mess of it and knocks on. And I could imagine the Warrington fans were just obviously going mad at him. And then I seen him limping from the pitch, and I thought, yeah, nothing wrong with you. He's just made a mistake.
It's one of them phantom injuries because he made an error. Yeah. I saw Phil's after the game. I saw him and James Bentley. I was speaking to Stephen Ratchford.
Yeah.
Speaking to them just a little bit about the game, and they're in a good place for it.
They are.
When I was speaking to James Bentley and Joe Philbin and Stephen Ratchford, obviously had a conversation with Sam after the game. On camera, but they're in a decent spot, and they've got Williams to come back and some other players to come back. So they're well equipped here. I think it's a really important end to the season. I think we could, for the first time ever, Dan, see two teams from outside the top two make Old Trafford. I don't think anybody would be surprised if, for argument's sake, Wigan and Leeds finish top two, and Wakefield and Warrington, or Wakefield, Hull KR, Wakefield, whoever out of that bottom four, if you like, in the playoffs, go to Leeds and Wigan and win. So I think it's a fascinating playoff series we've got coming up, and I've said it. I don't want to wish the next 5 weeks away, but I can't wait for the playoffs.
I know. I'm the same. I can't wait. But going back to the Warrington game, then Bradford Bulls they're running out of steam, running out of players. Unfortunately, they've just got 16 injuries. I think you went through them, didn't you, with Mark on air? It's just they're just in a bit of a spot at the moment. But Wolves, job done for them. Very clinical. Which, like you said, it moves Warrington up to fourth, 2 points in front of Hull KR, but Hull KR's got a better points difference, so that's why I mentioned that game is pivotal, the game in hand, and then obviously you've got the Lee Leopards and Wakefield that make up the other spots. But yeah, there's intriguing weeks coming and exciting weeks coming up ahead. I can't wait for the playoffs myself, but that wraps it up for this week's Super League Round 22 analysis. In closing, as we do every week, Paul, I'll leave something with you. Who clinches the Dally M at the end of the NRL season is the first one.
Oh, jeez. I'm not sure. I mean,
I've narrowed it down to two, I think. I did some research into it, and there's only 3 forwards since 1990 that's won the Dally M.
Wow.
All the rest have been backs. And I think, without sitting on the fence, I think Nathan Cleary is obviously a shout, which he should be. And I think Sam Walker's the one that's going to push him. And I say that because of the Origin series that he had, the breakthrough he's had, and he's had to carry the team, and he is the lead now in front of Delhi Cherry Evans. And they are the ones that could potentially, them and the Warriors are the ones that could potentially go on and win it this year. And I do think if the Roosters was to get over the line, I think you see Sammy Walker win the Dally M. I generally do.
Yeah, it's interesting because the end of the season, it finishes at the end of the regular season. Playoffs don't count.
No, they don't. No.
You're going to see some big performances in the closing stages of the season, and the big players really stand up and win the big games, don't they? So it's no surprise that it's spine players, isn't it? 1, 6, 7, not even particularly 9, but 1, 6, and 7 mostly. So yeah, a big entity. I agree. I think that the two standouts are both in the top 2 teams, and they're both playing halfback for the top 2 teams. So we shall see. It's a funny way of changing, though, isn't it? If you get an injury or a suspension. It's a fascinating race for the Dally M.
It is, and the final one before we leave. Give me your Super League top 6 in order. How it's going to finish after round 27.
I think if Leeds finish top, I think Wigan will pinch second, Wakefield third, Hull KR fourth, Warrington 5, and Lee 6.
I'd agree with that. Been a pleasure as always, Paul. Now call you an NRL Insight UK regular.
I'm enjoying it, Dan. Really enjoying it. It's fascinating.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's moving in the right direction. Love doing it, and I enjoy having your company every week, as I say. Hope you all enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe. Send your comments in for any of the segments that you would like me or Paul to respond to, or if you disagree with the opinions that we've given. But yeah, subscribe and hit the bell icon, and you'll be alerted and notified once we upload any new content in the future. But until next week, it's goodbye from me, and thank you again, Paul.